NVIDIA eyes T17T18, City and Shin in talks. Interior Ministry pledges swift Hualien lake recovery. Health Ministry to tighten drug supply control. France's Macron reappoints Lecornu as PM. Twin quakes rock southern Philippines, kill 7. China's rare earth export limits raise trade fears. Einstein's first violin sells for over £1 million. Legendary actress Diane Keaton dies at 79.
Hello everyone, I'm Oceana. Thank you for joining us on FUNDAY News. It is Monday, October 13th, International Day for Disaster Reduction. And here are our top stories. In local news, NVIDIA's move into Taipei's T17 and T18 sites progresses. Deputy Mayor Li Sichuan announced talks with Shin Life to mutually terminate the contract. Key factors are NVIDIA's MOU expired, city officials push for retention, Shin execs backs talks, and central government support for site negotiations. Following the deadly Diane Creek Lake disaster in Hualien, the Interior Ministry pledged to strengthen water level monitoring and complete levee and bridge reconstruction within a set time frame. The ministry also vowed to ensure steady progress in home restoration efforts. Lawmakers called on multiple agencies to report on disaster monitoring, early warning systems, evacuation plans, and post-disaster recovery. Dozens of branded drugs are leaving Taiwan, sparking public concern. The Health Ministry confirmed 47 drugs have been withdrawn this year, with 46 having substitutes and 1 available until late 2026. Minister Shi said a draft amendment to the Pharmaceutical Affairs Act will let the FDA control drug distribution during shortages to stabilize supply. And in global news, French President Emmanuel Macron reappointed Sébastien Lecornu as Prime Minister on Friday, just days after he quit the job, a move that enraged some of President's fiercest political opponents, who pledged to vote out the new government. Macron will hope loyalist Lecornu can draw enough support from a deeply divided parliament to pass a 2026 budget. Faced with France's worst political crisis in decades, many of Macron's rivals have demanded that he either call fresh parliamentary elections or resign.
The immediate reaction to Lecornu's appointment from the far right and hard left was scathing, suggesting that his second stint as prime minister will be no easier than his first. There was no immediate response from the leadership of the Socialists and the Conservative Republicans. Lecornu's most pressing task will be to deliver a budget to Parliament by the end of Monday. Macron earlier convened a meeting of mainstream party leaders to rally support for his choice, but angered leftist parties when they discovered that one of their own would not be named prime minister. Another collapsed government would increase the likelihood of Macron calling a snap election, a scenario seen as benefiting the far right the most.
2 powerful earthquakes struck the southern Philippines just hours apart on Friday, killing at least 7 people and triggering landslides and tsunami warnings. The first quake, with a magnitude of 7.4, caused widespread panic and forced coastal evacuations. A second 6.8 magnitude quake later hit the same region along the Philippine Trench. Authorities fear further damage to already weakened structures as rescue and relief operations are being prepared under President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s direction.
People living near coastal areas in the southern Philippines were strongly advised to immediately evacuate, to higher ground or move further inland. Officials described the events as a doublet quake, meaning 2 distinct earthquakes that occurred along a massive trench off the country's eastern seaboard. Authorities warned that the second tremor could worsen damage from the first and cautioned of possible waves more than 1 meter higher than normal tides. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. said rescue and relief teams are on standby, assessing the impact and preparing to assist affected communities. The incident came 2 weeks after the Philippines experienced its deadliest earthquake in more than a decade, with 74 people killed in Cebu following an offshore quake of magnitude 6.9.
Tensions are rising between the U.S. and China after Beijing announced expanded controls on rare earth mineral exports. In response, U.S. President Donald Trump threatened to impose 100% tariffs on Chinese goods. Bloomberg reports that the global semiconductor industry is bracing for supply disruptions, with ASML, the world's only maker of advanced chip equipment, preparing for potential shipment delays and working with allies to find alternatives amid stricter Chinese export approval rules.
The action signaled the biggest rupture in relations in 6 months between Beijing and Washington. Many questioned whether the uneasy economic détente reached over the summer can survive. Experts said restrictions on U.S. software shipments to China could deal a massive blow to the country's tech industry, including cloud computing and artificial intelligence. Trump also threatened new export controls on airplanes and airplane parts, and a person familiar with the matter said the administration was outlining other possible targets. U.S. chipmakers are assessing risks, with executives warning that soaring magnet prices and export permit requirements could disrupt critical semiconductor supply chains worldwide.
A violin once owned by Albert Einstein has sold at auction for £860,000, far exceeding expectations. Believed to be the scientist's first violin, the 1894 Saunterer instrument was initially estimated at £300,000, but quickly climbed during a 10-minute bidding war. With commission included, the total price will top £1 million. Auctioneers say it's likely a record for a violin not linked to Stradivarius or a concert performer, marking a special moment in the sale of historical memorabilia.
The sale at Dominic Winter Auctioneers lasted about 10 minutes and drew intense bidding from 3 phone participants. Auctioneer Chris Alberry called it a special moment, noting that Einstein, who began playing at age 4, practiced the violin daily throughout his life. A philosophy book that Einstein gifted to a friend also sold for £2,200. All prices will have an extra 26.4% commission added on top, meaning the final price for the violin will be above £1 million. Auctioneers believe that once the commission is added, the sale could be the highest ever for a violin that was not previously owned by a concert violinist or made by Stradivarius, with the previous record being held by an instrument that was likely played on the Titanic.
Hollywood is mourning the loss of a legendary actress, Diane Keaton, who has died at the age of 79. Best known for her Oscar-winning role in Annie Hall and iconic performances in The Godfather and The First Wives Club, Keaton was a defining figure of modern cinema. The Los Angeles Fire Department said it responded to a medical call at her Brentwood home on Saturday morning before she was taken to the hospital.
Her death was confirmed by producer Dory Rath, though no cause was immediately released. Following the news of her death, many of her former co-stars, industry figures and stars took to social media to share tributes. Keaton rose to fame in the 1970s with her role as Kay Adams in The Godfather films and her acclaimed collaborations with director Woody Allen, including Play It Again, Sam, Sleeper, and Annie Hall, the latter of which earned her an Academy Award for Best Actress in 1978. Known for her quirky charm and signature fashion style, she continued to shine in beloved films like Father of the Bride, Something's Gotta Give, and Book Club.
The answer for last Thursday was B, fatalities. The car crash resulted in 3 fatalities and several injuries. Did you answer correctly? Now let's delve into today's news. China's rare earth export limits raise trade fears. Number 1, soaring, 急升的, 剧增的. The soaring prices of housing have made it difficult for young people to buy homes. Number 2, rupture, 破裂, 断裂. The diplomatic rupture between the two countries has lasted for months. Number 3, outline, 概述, 勾勒. The manager outlined the new project plan during the meeting. Next, we have a multiple choice question for everyone to practice. Which answer would you choose? You can write your answer in the comment section and the correct answer will be announced tomorrow. With its efforts to promote disaster preparedness and pre-disaster action instead of simply relying on post-disaster responses, the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization founded the International Day for Disaster Reduction in 1989. It began as a day to promote a global culture of awareness about disaster reduction. And that's all for today's FUNDAY News. Be sure to tune into FUNDAY News from Monday to Friday and click the link below to join FUNDAY for free. I'm your host, Oceana, and I'll see you next time.